This week in Helldivers had a bit of everything, ranging from cracked new stratagems to wild dev statements, and I finally have some news for you on my ban from the Helldivers Content Creator Program, so definitely stay tuned for that one. I also wanted to say thank you so much for your continued love and support that you show for the channel. In case you are new, please take a moment to hit subscribe and to ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. Don't forget to swipe left on mobile to hype the video, and here we dive once more into Helldivers. We've got some interesting info I should have reported on a few days ago, which we'll get into in about 45 to 60 seconds, but the TLDR on the major order is that with about 11 days to go overall in the Festival of Reckoning, we have taken a planet and are now back to a net zero on the counter, with the end goal to have taken more planets than we have lost by time's end. The 3-option minor order to body either bots, squid, or bugs on specific planets is showing that Marfark is sitting at roughly 53%. And to be honest with you, I'll probably be hitting them later today because for me, the bots are the most balanced faction. Hashtag botsmasterrace. New Stockholm and the Squid are at 41.4%, and Heath is nearing the finish line, currently sitting at 88.4%. And if you are still chasing every last medal you can get your hands on to spend in the war bonds, today's personal order is to successfully extract from 3 automaton missions. Interesting point here with the player count numbers you can currently see in-game, shown here in the Helldivers Companion App, is that all those players added together equals roughly 50,000 total players on planet, yet when you take a look at the actual total players logged on counts, it shows 60.5K. So either we have 10,000 divers sitting in their loadout screens or doing push-ups on their super destroyers, or there's some fuzzy math going on here. By the way, drop me a comment and let me know if you are one of those players that logs on and then sits on your ship for minutes or hours at a time, not actually dropping in, but using it more like a social hub. Anyways, over to the news I missed reporting on, and we can actually stay here on the Helldivers Companion App for this. And if you take a look at your screens right now, the app actually tracks the ups and downs of the Galactic Impact mod. Now, you've heard me talk about this mod many times in the past, but essentially there is a hidden impact multiplier effect within Helldivers in which the more divers we have logged on, the less impact we do. And the less players we have logged on, the more impact we do. I know, it's frustrating, right? As we'd probably prefer a straight up fight. And that brings us up to this PSA that I missed from Reddit that says, Recon Planets can be played without affecting liberation rates of other planets. This is fantastic news for MO divers. Which is why I just showed you the Galactic Impact mod, because this longer explanation now lays it all out for you. Quote, for those unaware, liberation rate calculations for the Galactic War have always included a value called the impact modifier, which I just showed you. While the exact formula for the impact modifier is unknown, it essentially reduces the impact of completed missions towards planet liberation the more missions there are being completed galaxy-wide. This limits the ability to liberate a planet by the percentage of players that are on that planet. In the past, this has been frustrating for completing MOs on planets that, for whatever reason, many players don't want to play on. And some divers will always play their favorite faction no matter what the MO, indirectly harming MOs for other factions. Today, Recon Planets were introduced. Again, I missed reporting on this. It's a couple days old now. As mentioned in-game, missions on Recon Planets do not count towards liberation of the planet. What was not mentioned is that they also don't seem to factor into the impact modifier calculations either. Otherwise, we wouldn't be liberating 𝗏𝗏 at 2.4% an hour with only 11% of the player base, while half of the player base is on Heath. If this is true, so long as one Recon planet is placed in each faction divers can play missions guilt-free without affecting liberation on MOs. Now, personally, I'd like to see this Galactic Impact mod more in line with what we had back closer to when the game launched, where you could put smaller forces on planets all over the map and still make decent progress there, because when we're forced into this mob mentality and pushed to do an all-out attack on one planet simultaneously, it limits our ability to engage with the game, and inevitably it turns into bots versus bug divers. However, one of this week's biggest drops, and we've got more to go, was the Festival of Reckoning. unveiling cracked new combo stratagems available for limited use, and certain pieces of Warbond tech made temporarily available. For instance, the Hover Pack, which I reported on yesterday, being made available galaxy-wide to all divers regardless of if they owned the Borderline Justice Warbond or not. However, the highlight seems to be that modified 120 EMS bombardment with not only the primary EMS shell, but then the doubling of the regular 𝗕cie shells, and that thing definitely spices up the combat. Now, for the video I posted a few days ago about the Festival of Reckoning, I asked a question of my viewers about these new comboed stratagems, while also asking if this was brought to the game as a resource sink, allowing us to spend X amount of this sample type to augment a stratagem for a limited time use. Would that be something they could get behind? And overall, the response was pretty positive, but I did want to highlight this specific comment here, which took this question and went the more permanent route, saying, these stratagems taste like Tier 6 ship module upgrades, which is something I had considered but didn't talk about in the video. But that's also a very solid option. However, my only concern there is that once we have them all unlocked and in our ship inventories, we kind of fall back into the same rut of having maxed out samples and nothing to spend them on. Along with the Festival of Reckoning, the interesting news actually dropped yesterday when Niklas Malmberg, design director at Arrowhead, took to the studio's recording studio and sat down for a 35-minute democratic conversation. GamesRadar picked up on this interview and ran with the following quote, "Now it's just toxic. Helldivers 2 lead says meta weapons can ruin the game, especially since, quote, you'll get tired of having a bigger power fantasy than everyone else." In case you missed it, I watched this entire interview cover to cover twice, and after listening to it, let's just say I got motivated and dropped the video you see up on screen right now late yesterday, outlining some of the disconnected statements, especially when it jumps back and forth between realism and space magic and the need to keep the game grounded. Yeah, once you watch my recap, you'll understand that statement. But GamesRadar seems to be focusing in on only one aspect of this entire discussion, in which Malmberg touches on power fantasy and how not choosing a stronger performing weapon leads to players fighting with each other, even dredging up the story about how a player or players have been kicked from parties for not choosing the railgun. Again, this was from early 2024, and it's that mindset that drives their balancing philosophy. Essentially, they, the studio, want to balance everything so that you can run with the strongest or even the Constitution, which Malmberg calls a meme weapon. And if their balance design isn't in a solid place, no matter what you bring to the battle, you shouldn't be afraid of being kicked for not using the meta weapons. Again, I discussed this in great length in yesterday's video, so please go check it out once you're done with this one. Link in the video description and pinned comment. But to hear the studio's design director bringing up this toxic kicking epidemic from almost 2 years ago that was built on a single Steam post and then expanded on by IGN, let's just say it's bothersome. Now, just to confirm I wasn't too far out in left field, I took the time and read a bunch of your comments on yesterday's video, like this one you see here on screen, and yeah, it's exactly how I remember the early days of Helldivers, also up to the present day as well. Are people going to be kicked from this game? Yes. It's a feature in the game, and assholes have credit cards too, so they're going to be buying this game and using that kick feature. But I think the point that is lost on the studio, at least from yesterday's statements, is that the majority of players are wanting a certain level of power and with it fun. And when they're trying to balance the game based on a 2-year-old fiction, and then you're trying to make the game all-inclusive so that even badly performing or meme weapons won't risk you getting side-eyed, then that's a major problem. And finally, after an extended vacation from the Propaganda Commander content creator program, I can officially announce that I'm back. Yeah, this was a long process, but I do want to say it was conducted professionally. We just had a lot to talk through on both sides, as I wanted to make my side known that how and why I was removed was totally uncalled for, and that further rules and protections needed to be in place to make sure this never happened again, either to me or to another creator. What you see now in the official Helldivers Discord in the server info channel was one part of those discussions behind the scenes, but there you go. I'm looking forward to getting into the behind-the-scenes content testing and discussions once more, and to always strive to push the game and studio to constantly improve. I mean, ultimately, I want a better Helldivers 2 experience. Not for me, but for we. Anyways, here's where you get to sound off about anything Helldivers related, and of course I'll do my best to respond. Please take a moment to hit subscribe and to ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. Thank you so much to our ultra dedicated channel members, for without your support, content like this would not be possible. And if you're interested in getting in and on the action, look for the join button on my homepage, as we have tiers and perks for all levels of supporters. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏